Hello, girls and boys. Welcome to Storytime Fun. I dedicate this next story to my delightful grandchildren, Violet, Denver, Ethan, and Summer. Today's story comes out of the Disney's Christmas Storybook, written by Elizabeth Spur. 101 Dalmatians, A Christmas for Giving. One winter evening, as Pongo and Perdita watched TV with their 99 puppies, Roger and Nanny hauled a huge tree into the parlor. It was fresh and green and made the room smell like a pine forest. Once Nanny and Roger had gone, the puppies went to take a closer look. "What's going on?" The puppies turned to their mother, looking slightly alarmed. "Don't worry, dears," said Purdy. "This is just the beginning of Christmas." Christmas? It was both mess and muss. That night the floor was covered with pine needles, boxes of ornaments, tinsel, garlands, and strings of twinkling lights. There was barely space for the puppies to sit. Roger and Anita began acting very strangely, climbing on stepladders, hanging shiny colored balls on the tree limbs, and arguing about the treetop. Should it be a star or an angel? At last, the tree was finished and the room tidied. When Roger pressed a switch, the lights and shiny ornaments cast a magical glow about the room. The puppies gawked wide-eyed at the tree. This Christmas business must be something very special, they thought. That night, when Pongo and Perdita tucked the puppies into their baskets, they explained about the fuss and muss of Christmas. It was a time when the two-legged creatures like Roger and Anita tried to show their families and friends how much they cared for them. People sent cards and baked cookies and fruitcakes. They sang carols and hung mistletoe so they would have an excuse to kiss and hug. It was all very strange, but Pongo assured the puppies they would grow to love Christmas, especially the beef bones left over from dinner. "And that's not all," added Purdy. "On Christmas Eve, after everyone's in bed, people sneak presents under the tree for those they love." "Because," said Pongo, "Christmas is about giving." "Will we get presents?" asked Rolly. "Maybe," Purdy replied. "I remember Anita gave me a new collar last year." "And I got a red ball," said Pongo. "I hope someone loves us," said Penny. "Don't worry," said Purdy. "You are loved." On Christmas morning, the puppies woke at dawn. They crept into the living room. Sure enough, there were piles of brightly wrapped packages under the tree. "We are loved," said Freckles. They all dove into the pile, tossing and ripping and tearing. Ruff! Unwrapping was so much fun. Lucky pulled open a box. His jaw dropped. "Perfume?" Penny dragged a spotted necktie from the tissue. "What do I need with more spots?" Freckles looked downcast, held up a lace handkerchief, and when Patches nosed out a satin nightgown, Lucky said, "Uh-oh." And the rest of the puppies chorused, "Uh-oh." Just then, they heard Roger's and Anita's voices in the hallway. "Adios, here, said Rolly, and all 99 scampered, hiding behind sofas, under chairs, or in the folds of the curtains. They heard Roger's footsteps cross the threshold. What on earth? Anita said. Oh, dear. Roger called. Purdy, Pongo, where are you? The puppies heard the tick of their parents' claws as they scurried toward the parlor. When they came into the room, Pongo said, woof, and Purdy repeated, woof. In their hiding places, the puppies trembled. They were in for it now. Then, like music, came Anita's peal of laughter. And Roger said with a chuckle, looks like we had some help opening our gifts. After a pause, Anita said, wasn't that kind of the puppies? Let's call them, said Roger, and say thanks. Here, puppies. Come here, pups. The puppies looked at one another. Should they answer? Anita said in a loud voice. There are still so many boxes to unwrap. I do wish they'd come and help. One by one, the puppies came into view. First creeping, then bounding. Yip, yip, yip! They gathered around the tree as Roger pulled packages from under the branches. Go for it, boys and girls. With happy squeals, the puppies tore into the bright wrappings, the tangled ribbon, the crunchy cardboard, the crinkly papers. Pongo and Purdy looked at each other. Shall we join them? Whispered Pongo. This is their first Christmas, replied Purdy. Let them have the fun. They both looked on with longing as a snowstorm of tissue flew through the air. And when all the gifts had been opened and piled neatly, and all the paper set ablaze in the fireplace, Anita brought out a large basket. Sorry, we didn't have time to wrap these, she said. But then she smiled. Maybe you've done enough work for today. She handed each puppy a squeaky toy. From the bottom of the basket, she drew 2 red and green Christmas sweaters for Pongo and Purdy. Anita knitted them herself, said Roger. And when the Christmas feasting was finally over and the last rib bone chewed, Purdy tucked the pups into their baskets. We like Christmas, said Pepper. We like our toys, said Rolly. We like the tissue paper, said Patch. Remember, I told you that Christmas was about giving? Asked Purdy. We remember, said the puppies. It's also about forgiving, said Pongo gently. You were lucky that Roger and Anita had the Christmas spirit. The puppies looked at him puzzled. From now on, there will be no more unwrapping unless you have permission. Can you remember that? And they did. Well, at least until Christmas came again. Well, that's it for today. See you next time.